Hello and welcome to another episode of the Corgi Town USA podcast. I am Candy, owner of Corgi Town USA. In my lap is Chuckles, our spokescorg.
And I'm Kat. At my side is Digby, my little corg. At my feet, I believe, is Mortimer.
Mortimer, Booger, maybe?
Booger.
Mortimer and Booger?
Let me see.
Nope,
Nope, just Mortimer.
Just
Or
Mortimer.
just Mortimer.
No Boog right
now. No, but well,
Well, she pops in the studio. We also have Hammer. So
yes,
Corgi committee here.
Absolutely.
Well, if you've been sticking with us here on season 3, we have started a series called Corgis in TV and Film. And I've really had a good time with this project, doing research and trying to find, famous corgis and, the corgis of TV and film that are making us all fall in love with the breed. Corgis of Instagram, all of our famous corgs. So in the process of looking around, I was so glad to come across Bentley and Farah, very famous corgis that have been in many publications, and they're in a few currently running publications, as well as have done many commercials.
Yeah.
And their Corg Dad Mike agreed to come on and talk about them and tell us about their work.
Sounds fun.
Let's bring them on.
How do I get my corgi to pay for college?
Mike and Farah and Bentley, welcome.
They're so cute.
They're so
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us today. And for the audience, if you're listening and not watching, Bentley and Farah have joined us on camera today. So you can pop into our YouTube page. Oh, and they have lots to say.
They do.
Tons.
They always try to steal the show.
That's like my Chuckles. Chuckles likes to take over the broadcast too.
Absolutely.
He's chilling in my lap right now, but every now and then he'll pop up and say, "Is it my big moment?" Yes.
That's right.
So tell us, Mike, how did you get started with corgis?
Well, funny enough, I had no intention of getting into corgis at all. So that's how it goes for a lot of people, I'm sure. Because
that's how the story always starts.
Yeah. And so we actually had American Eskimos. You want to go get that? Go get it. We had American Eskimos, and unfortunately, one of the dogs had sadly passed, and we didn't know what to do. So my son really did a lot of research, and he came across this little dog named Gatsby you might have heard of.
Yes.
And prayers for Gatsby right now, because he is going through some stuff. So
Gatsby has nasal cancer. For those who have not been following, his Corg Dad has been very, very attentive on getting him care, and so we're kind of hoping for the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he's just such a fantastic little energy. So we're really inspired by him, and so Chandler, who's my son, he figured that it would be a good thing to bring a corgi in. And at first I thought, like, nobody has corgis. I didn't know anybody that had corgis other than the Queen. So you've probably heard that a lot.
Yes.
Queen has corgis, so why would you want one? But once he showed me some videos, I was just blown away at just how fun they were. And, the thing where someone's, sweeping and then the dog latches onto the broom and then they just get dragged around. I just thought that was priceless. So I figured, let's look into it. So we looked into it, and we were able to find one out of the Ozarks. And we just thought he was so cute. I thought he looked a little runty, and he had one little bent ear. And but Chandler said, "No, I really want this one." So we had him flown to Tacoma, and then the rest is history. We just fell in love with him, and he turned into such a beautiful dog. It's just amazing. His photos are just incredible, and obviously he films really well. So, and he's a smaller dog too. So. Typically most corgis, about 30, 32 pounds is kind of like the average. And Bentley and Farah both film at 23 pounds.
So, wow.
Yeah, they're small.
Petite ones. Yeah, little petite ones. So how did they, please tell us, I know that you have a lot of fans, so we're very glad to have you here, but tell us how they got started as little stars.
All right. Well, we belong to something called the BC Corgi Meetup Group out here in British Columbia. And it's a group of about 50 owners and probably about 65 dogs. And we get together a couple times a month. So in that particular time, we were new to the group because Bentley had just been a puppy. He was about 8 months old when the show started seeking the dog. So the dogs or the trainers came to the group and had asked if anybody would be interested. A lot of, we thought he would just be too young. But a lot of the folks there just said, you've got to, send some photos in. So we did. And he's, like I say, a very picturesque dog. And he liked to take photos. And he's just, he just really shows up nice.
Yeah.
So we sent in some photos. At that point, they had already selected a dog. But the production had the dog come in. So this other dog. And they just felt that the dog was so big that they were actually going to rewrite the script. So the dog was in the 30-pound range. And because it's such an active show, there'd be a lot of the actors holding him and stuff. And they just didn't feel that they could effectively use a Corgi. So they thought they might have to go to like a smaller terrier. And actually the Corgi was written as a Corgi Terrier, which is funny. That's the description in the script. So at any rate,
remind our audience what show.
Oh yes, sorry. So this is his original. So it's Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. BBC America was the production company behind it, and it's on Netflix and Hulu. 2 seasons. So at any rate, he again was just really small. So they were going to nix it and go to a different dog, but then they had heard that Bentley was small, so we brought him. And so they asked us to take a photo with the other dog that had been picked for the show and had actually been measured up. And I'll tell you about the measuring up and all that in a minute. But so the one, they're holding the dog like this, and then I've got him held it like a football. And they said, that's the dog we want. So, yeah, so he is so small. And when you watch the show, you'll notice a lot of the actors actually hold him like a football, and they're running through scenes with guns and crazy things like this. Bentley gets thrown off a bridge.
Oh
Elijah, you threw him off a bridge, but it was a beautiful scene. So
that football stance was like the winning.
That was sealed the bid for him. Yeah. So,
very nice.
So at that particular point, he was 8 months old. So he started filming. So the first scene where he's on top of a garbage bin talking to the main actor, who played Dirk Gently, and so he's talking to him. Bentley's only 9 months old at that particular time. So a lot of times they'll say, well, what were you doing at 9 months old? So yeah, he actually had talents early on. He just picks up tricks so well. And again, he just shows up really nice on screen, and he's so petite and everything, but his ears stand up, and he's got these cute little eyes, and he's always smiling. So it's a wonderful thing.
Aww. We do love the Corgi smile. And I want to go off the cuff just briefly here. We had talked about, so we recently did an episode on the Corgi from The Accidental Tourist in the late 80s. Was also in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. That was Bud the Cardigan Corgi, and very famous Corgi from that era. And we were lucky enough to interview the lady who bred him and had him until the studio got him. Now, back then, and it may still work like this. This is what we're learning as we do Corgis in TV and film. But back then, the studio actually approached her to purchase Bud from her and live on their farm. And then they were able to use him for some more. Like, I think he did a Purina commercial. Then he wound up being Elvis. And so I'm assuming it's a little bit different because Bentley is your dog and you accompany on set.
Yeah, so a lot of times studios do own the dogs, and especially in California. It's big in California.
Yeah.
Much of the dogs, like the, I forget the name of the show, but where they kind of are always venturing out, and it's just a dog movie. Universal Studios owns that particular cast of dogs. And so the Corgi from, I forget what it's called, like whether it's Outward Bound or something to that effect. So they do training shows where the dogs are showing their talents and whatnot in a daily thing, and that's a studio-owned dog. So in BC, the animal department is the company that does all the training. So Grace McLeod and Ian Doig were the trainers, and Grace is just amazing. She works so closely with Bentley. But yeah, they had asked us, and Bentley's fixed too, by the way. We had him fixed at 6 months old. And so one of their first questions is whether he was fixed or not, because the idea of having a dog like the Airbuds, for instance. A lot of the Airbuds dogs are out in British Columbia here, and they just keep having more and more puppies, and then they make more and more movies. So the idea that we could use Bentley's offspring was always something that was asked about, but
Right.
it is what it is, and he was fixed, and which I think his character might have changed if we hadn't fixed him. So
Yeah.
who knows? But anyway, he's such a fun dog. So
and so Chuckles, his mom has done commercials and things as well, but his dad is actually in The Crown.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's what also
Wow,
beefed up the breed.
Yeah, well,
the
Chuckles is
lineage.
The
yeah, the lineage. And so Chuckles is Hollywood royalty, but that Chuckles
British
breeder.
royalty.
Well, that too, but Chuckles breeder owns those dogs, and they work with the studio. So it's interesting to hear, how some of these contracts work,
Yeah.
and how these things got started and how these deals get started. But I love that Bentley and Farah live with you, that they have a home that they come home to, and that they're doing movies, and then.
And they're not too starstruck, so they're they just come back and like, yeah, let's just play and have fun and eat and all that good stuff. So they're regular dogs. So
go
really
home
nice.
and the stars are just like us.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
And that's-
They're child actors. Are they those? What they say about child actors? Oh my gosh, that was
Well, it's true
horrible to
because
watch.
Farah also, here I've been talking about Bentley, but Farah also has been in a few productions too. So
Okay.
she was in a TV show called Legends of Tomorrow, and she's got she's got some close-ups in it. She's sort of the central corgi. We have 4 corgis in that one. I was able to help choose those dogs. So
Oh, nice.
so I selected all the dogs. Bentley was on set that day, but he just they didn't use him in that particular set. And then Farah ended up taking up the lead role on it. So they actually made her wear a mohawk and leathers and stuff. So she was a little punk rock corgi.
Oh, how
And,
cute.
Yeah, it's a very cute episode. So that one's called Legends of Tomorrow, and the episode is called Dancing Queen.
Dancing.
Queen. She's a little hardcore corgi.
She is, yeah.
Well, for those watching on the banner, we have shared, you can go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Poor Corgi Actor. That is the tag there. Or you can check out on Instagram and others, Corgi Mafia. If you want to learn more, we will drop those down in the comments as well. So I love that, as we're talking about this, they are your pets. So you accompany them on set and during filming. What do you do to keep them occupied? Because it's been in my younger days, I was an extra and I did some auditions and things, but I know how long the process is in filming,
Very
and there's
much.
a lot of dead time in between. So, and us having corgis here and those listening that have corgis, we know that corgis like to be occupied. They like to have a job.
Yeah.
So I would love to know what you do to keep them occupied on set.
All right. Well, for the most part, they're always accompanied by our training team. So for each dog, there's usually 3 to 4 trainers per dog. So you can just imagine.
Yeah.
And so often we'll have Bentley on set. Farah will often be on set. And then we might even have another backup corgi, again, of our choosing. So we bring in our pals and then we get them on there. So funny enough, Farah's boyfriend, who she had puppies with, was in that scene with of Legends of Tomorrow. So the 2 little lovers were together. It was very sweet. And then the offspring, and actually 2 of the dogs ended up in LA. So
Oh my gosh.
2 of the puppies ended up with studio folks. So very, very fun. But no, what do they do? So they my dogs aren't crate trained per se, but they are given large crates and relaxed. And the general consensus on set is that they are treated like any other actor. So you cannot just approach the dogs and start petting them and playing with them and being silly. So you need to actually ask permission and that type of thing. And most of the time they'll just say, well, maybe after the scene, because they need to keep focused.
Right.
A lot of the times, frankly, they're spent with the stars. So people like Elijah Wood and Neil Brown Jr. and Anna Kendrick, you know, they'll spend time with him and just hang out, and my dogs, so you know, it's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Bentley is vocal, so when we get him playing, he might, you know, bark for attention and that type of thing. So the way that sets are done, there's the main area where they film, and then they have an area called the circus, and the circus is generally where everybody gathers before going on to set. So I'll often try to get him, we either focus him or we get some energy out, depending on what it is that he needs. So, but for the most part, he's very, very focused. We'll just sort of keep going through, you know, some of the training and just reinforcing the training, redoing the scene and that type of thing. And but typically they're in a scene very, very fast, and then they're out. So, and that really works to Bentley's advantage in particular, because Bentley's done most of the acting. And you know, when the trainers come and they say, well, you know, we've got 4 hours allotted for this, and this is what the scene needs to be, and then we'll kick it out in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And that's very typical for Bentley. And then they're like, it's a home run. And they get really excited, and they get the scene within 20, 30 minutes. So, and just time and time again, that's happened. So when you're setting up for $100,000 shoot, and the dog nails it in, you know, 30 minutes or less, they're pretty excited. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Does Bentley get a bonus for that?
Yeah, he gets all the treats he can muster. So
Okay, hey, that's what
and
a
that's
dog
the thing.
really
And
wants.
some of the training, so they call it bait, you know, so they're using bait with the dogs, and so they'll use like high target bait, for instance, which would be like the steak and stuff like that. So so depending on the scene, they'll probably start out with hot dogs, and then they'll move up to steak. So
wow.
yeah, it's a tough life.
Gotta watch that 23-pound boyish corgi figure.
That's right.
That's right.
So your question is, do they have favorite cast and crew? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, they love them all, and they love the crew, because the crew, especially the makeup crew. So believe it or not, the dogs do have a makeup crew, and so they get powdered and they get all that stuff. But they're so loving, the makeup crew, so we just love them to death. And but you know, I think the people want the juicy stuff, right? Let's get to the juicy stuff. So Elijah Wood, the sweetest actor I've ever certainly met.
I mean, come on, Frodo Baggins.
Yeah, exactly. All the stories are correct about him. He is genuine. He is the real deal. And we were told, do not approach the stars, you know, because we would be brought on set essentially as guests. And then because we have a training crew, and so we're guests. And so we were told to stay away from them. And so we would run into them at food tents and whatnot. And I'd be in the corner like, I don't want to talk to him. But my son, he starts talking to him. And very, very sweet gentleman. And, you know, when we saw him on interviews and stuff, when he's promoting the show, it's just like, this guy is the real deal. He's just that way on set as he is in an interview. So very nice. Neil Brown Jr., he's on, so he played Estevez in Dirk Gently, and he's an action star through and through, and just a really, really great guy. He's on, what's it called now? It's Seals, but I think he's gone to Paramount now, so Paramount Seals. And anyway, fantastic show. Neil is in it, and Neil did a bunch of scenes with Bentley. But the fun thing is that we got to see all these behind the scenes little tropes that were sort of taken out, and he just loved being around Bentley. He was getting him to do tricks, and so we have a lot of those outtakes. So that was really fun. And I think the other story that Anna Kendrick, so Bentley did a movie called Noelle. It's a Disney production, and when Disney launched their Disney Plus service, Noelle was the feature thing. Unfortunately, there's no scenes of Bentley in that show because they got cut. So, which is kind of the thing that happens. But Anna Kendrick was, she said her patronis is a corgi. So if you know what a patronis is, right? So we thought that was really fun. And she got to meet Bentley. And so we weren't there, but people that were fans of Bentley knew it was Bentley somehow. I don't know, but they're all yelling, Bentley, Bentley. He's in a car, and the car approaches Anna, and she comes to him, and she just goes, oh my gosh. And So she's petting him, and she just was like really into it. So it was very cute. So
I love that story. That's so fun.
Yeah.
That's so cute. And Anna Kendrick does always seem like she's in interviews and stuff like just a fun person.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so that saying that her Patronus is a corgi is hysterical.
Yeah.
Are there ever instances where the actors are afraid of corgis, or they just or afraid of animals in general, or they just won't get cast? How would that work?
Yeah, I think some are. So you can sort of tell the tension. But again, it's the trainers are so good that they introduce them, and then it's really up to the actors to assimilate in a lot of ways and learn to be with the dogs. But in Dirk Gently, I think in the first season, he was physically held either like in a basket or in a in a football stance or thrown off a bridge by 15 different actors. So that's season 1. Yeah, so everybody was holding him, and he was running around. And again, like a lot of corgis, you just wouldn't be able to do that with. So it's a bit tricky.
And my other question is there a food tent for the corgis or for the animals in there?
The craft table?
the craft table for them. And do they clear out the lions before they bring the
No, they are very strict diets, and so for the most part, they obviously are just fed through the trainers and stuff. But yeah, it's a fun question. The food tents, I got to say, are just crazy. Like it's and just the way they take care of you on set is insane. We had to turn down food because they were constantly feeding it to us. We were on set when they threw Bentley off the bridge, and it was wild because we were there till about 4 a.m. I was exhausted. I fell asleep at about midnight, and they kept knocking. You guys want more food? And I'm like, we're good. And it was amazing food.
So we now know that the food tents are all run by Jewish and Italian grandmothers.
That's right. And there's candy tents. That's where we actually ran into Elijah. It was at the candy tent. It was like a whole tent full of candy.
That sounds marvelous.
We're not talking like a 10 by 10. We're talking like a 20 by 20 tent, just with tables all around.
Oh my gosh.
So it was insane.
Yeah. That's amazing. The candy tent.
Well, we need to train now. Did you do any special training? I was just about to say we need to train our guys a little bit better because that candy tent sounds amazing. Did you do any special training with Bentley and Farah, either before or as a result of getting in all these? Okay.
Yeah, because we tend to continue to do stuff, even independent stuff. Bentley, one of the craziest tricks, and some people get really bent out of shape. So if you're a corgi owner and you want to hear the stuff that we're about to tell you, you might want to turn off your ears for a minute because
trigger warning,
get upset about it. And we didn't know what the script was at this particular time, so it was quite upsetting. So close to the end of the season, Bentley had to lay down flat as if he had been knocked out, let's say. Let's not use the word dead because, that's not what happened. But he ended up laying out flat, and the idea is that they're going to do a body transformation. So Elijah Wood had to come underneath and put his hands together and then lift him up, and then he just bent over like a wet noodle. So you can see that on our website and that type of thing, or the Instagram and Twitter. There's a scene where he gets lifted up and his body just bends over, and he looks as though he's dead. And so we're supposed to train this at home with trainers, and we were to keep doing it and that type of thing. And so I'm like, I don't want to teach him to be dead. And they're like, well, that's just the scene, so we got to do it. So as it turns out, he didn't die, but we were sure freaked out that we wouldn't get another season. So anyway, he killed it, and it's really upsetting to corgi owners because you get everything. Well, it's bad for his back, and it's a number of different things. You shouldn't train him. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do it. Everybody's telling us what we shouldn't do, and it's like, well, we didn't do it. The dog trainers did it, and he is well trained, and they stretch him out and they get him all this way, but it's a wild effect. So.
Well, and we trust that you care about Bentley's well-being, and you'll be sure that he's safe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an impressive trick. I mean, Chuckles.
Well, I think a trick that I taught him, which I think is really fun, is if you're walking around and you have a wallet out of your back pocket, we're getting it. We're gonna get it. So, so he literally so he's a pickpocket, and we used that in a couple of his individual or his independent films, if you will, for a toy store here in British Columbia called Toy Traders. So shout out to Toy Traders who let us film and do crazy things. But he literally runs down, he steals a wallet, and he goes back and he pays for his toy purchase. So and, we were told that he's up for a movie, and they really want him. So, but can you teach him to chase a car? I'm like, chase a? You want me to teach him to chase a car? So we had my mom in there, and it was really funny. And we met up with some fans in Orange County, and we filmed a scene, and we sent it back to the studio within 20 minutes of when we received the call, and we taught Bentley how to chase a car in 20 minutes. And the funny thing is that we would start, we'd have a ball and we put it in the window, and then we'd drive away, and then we'd roll up the window, and then he would think he's chasing there. So we kept doing this a couple times. And my mom was the ball holder. So she's got out there, she rolls up the window, and it pins her hand in the window.
Oh.
So yeah,
Mom.
yeah, we got to train mom a little better, I think.
Yeah, right. Corgis trained, mom not so much.
Bentley got it in 20 minutes, and there you go.
Yeah, wow. Now, there's two names. What is the Corgi Mafia, and what is a Poor Corgi Actor?
Well, Corgi Mafia, I formed a partnership with a fellow by the name of Rick Dunn, and Rick Dunn, sorry, and Rick, sadly, he passed it in COVID, and an amazing graphic artist, and a big fan of Bentley and Farah, and the sweetest man I've ever known. So he was a graphic artist that did up some logos for us and some shirts, and ended up with about 20 different styles of shirts and leggings and socks and dog bowls and all that kind of stuff. So Corgi Mafia is a brand that we wanted to start, and we wanted to do basically a bit of fundraising for other dogs. So we did some stuff with Queen's Best Rescue out of California. So we raised a few $100 there, and so we just try to do different things like that. And it's just a funny thing, the Corgi Mafia. We just thought it was really tongue in cheek, And actually, I'm in Canada. I'm 20 minutes away from the American border. So when I go across the border, some of the more serious, are you? Like, are you, trying to be funny? I'm like, well, yeah. So
yeah.
Anyway, they thought I was part of some criminal organization. So anyway, it's really silly. But and then Poor Corgi Actor, essentially it's like a Charlie Chaplin kind of thing. Like when we first saw Bentley, we kind of thought this he's kind of like Charlie Chaplin-ish. He's just sort of silly and goofy, and we never took any of this stuff really seriously. And there's not a lot of money in it, so he really is a Poor Corgi Actor, and we just thought it was a fun thing to go with, and it sets him apart. So people certainly know that first of all he's an actor, and second of all he's poor. So so it's just kind of
there you
fun.
have it.
Well, thank you.
So it's just a little bit of a take on Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, the little tramp, right?
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Well, I want to go back real briefly. You were talking about the bridge scene. So you explained to us how he was trained to kind of be limp. How did they film the bridge scene? There's a really fun story about Kevin Smith getting to direct an episode of The Flash.
Okay.
And he was really disappointed with how they filmed the way they do The Flash, because it looks really cool on screen. So this is what I think of with the bridge. Can you tell us how they filmed the bridge screen with Bentley? Well,
it was a crazy thing. So again, when we came on set, and just a little bit of the movie language here. So they're filming this scene, and it was going to start filming, or we need to be on set for 7 p.m. for breakfast. Or what? 7 p.m. for breakfast. And I kept asking for breakfast. So anyway, we arrive on set, we go to the circus, and it's just a zoo. It's the biggest set I've ever seen in my life. There's just cars everywhere. There's people everywhere. And as we're driving in, we're brought in these Mercedes vans with a driver. And they said, yeah, you know what we're filming tonight? We're filming the scene about, there's the dog that we're filming the scene about. They didn't know who we were. And we were like, oh, wow. So this whole thing is for Bentley that particular night. And so we get on set and we literally have breakfast at 7 p.m. because this thing goes all night. Yeah. So it's a massive bridge, an old style wooden bridge that looks like it could have been in Madison County. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yep.
It had some light. They put in lighting, so it looked very eerie. And then they had smoke machines going all over. And they had a scuba team in the water. And they had the SPCA was there. And we had about 8 trainers. And it was insane. There was just people everywhere just sort of looking after Bentley. And this scene is that the Corvette comes up onto the bridge. And then Elijah Wood has to sort of call the bad guy's bluff by essentially throwing Corgi Bentley off of a bridge. And so he's held above a bridge. So in training for that, we physically went out above bridges in our community and we held him above. People would drive by thinking, what the heck are we doing? I'm surprised no police were called because we had this Corgi hanging over a bridge.
You did the Michael Jackson with the baby over the balcony.
Exactly. Yeah. So it looked very, very odd, I'm sure. And then, so there's all these safety protocols in place, but at the end of the day, he didn't actually get thrown off the bridge. That's movie magic. They recreated the bridge in the studio, and then they dropped them down into a trainer at about 6 feet. So it's quite safe. And but I was just amazed at the amount of support that the dogs had on that particular scene, because it was like nothing I've ever seen. So when you have a scuba team in the water, like with pontoon boats and stuff like that, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. That's fun. What do the fans know about these 2 little stars?
I think one of the things is that we are approachable. So anybody that's ever seen us, we really get into it with our fans and just not even the fans, but just the people that know us and are friends with us. And that's a wide swath, because we'll go down along the West Coast in particular. We've gone all the way down to California and just different events. And we call up different Corgi groups, and they'll put together a group of 60, 70 Corgis and hang out with us as we're sort of heading down. So we did that in Portland and Oregon and Southern Oregon as well, Sacramento, San Francisco, Huntington Beach, San Diego. Like we went all this
crazy.
So it was really fun. And we always go down to Cannon Beach, Oregon. And that was amazing. Like we've got some photos and stuff from our last event there. And so we really enjoy just getting out and meeting people. We host barbecues and fire pits at Corgi Beach Day in Cannon Beach. So if you're out on a Friday night, come and join us for that. If you guys haven't been to Cannon Beach, Corgi Beach Day, it's really off the hook. It's insane. Wow. It's about 700 Corgis, but it's just beautiful. But so very approachable. We love to just meet other people, and they love to hang out with lots of different people. Farah's a mother, so that's another thing. She has 4 puppies, and her co-star, like I said earlier, was in that show. And they're just lovely. They're just 4 little girls, and 2 of them are in California and 2 are in Northern Washington. So they're really fun. And we like to help out in every way we can. We'll do fundraisers for people and for different organizations. So whatever anybody needs, we definitely want to help out.
Aw. Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, because you had actually brought, so our friends at Shade Out DM, which were Corgi Town USA, we're partners with Shade Out DM. You had brought the pups to meet, I believe, didn't you meet Casey, or did you meet?
I had to meet Casey. Yeah. Everybody had to meet Casey.
Yeah.
Or, Casey just had such she's just a zest for life. She's just such a happy dog, considering the things that she was going through. And for Tawny, man, what she did for Casey is just phenomenal. So I learned a lot from them. So But yeah, just it was really exciting, and they weren't able to get to. So that was a few years ago in the first season of Dirk Gently. So we were there to sort of promote the show, and we were at Huntington Beach Day, at Corgi Beach Day, and then so Casey and Tawny lived out in Lake Elsinore. So we spent the day and we zipped out thinking that Lake Elsinore is not that far, and it probably isn't that far. It's just you got California traffic.
Yes.
Yep.
Very true.
California traffic can turn a half-hour drive into 4 hours pretty quick. So
Yes.
but I think it took us about 3 hours to get there, and that was the best day I've spent in a long time. So it was really fun, and we got some fantastic pictures of Casey and Spencer, and it was really cool. So what a great dog.
Yeah, for sure. We go down and visit every few weeks or so, and my hammer, who I will be making a formal announcement, but my hammer has just been diagnosed loosely. I know there's not definitive diagnosis, but he's battling DM.
Yes.
And so, but we've been part of the organization, and so we're armed with a lot of information we wouldn't have otherwise. But we go down about every 6 weeks to that part of the country and just visit for swim. So if you when you come down to California, if you do a meetup, let us know. We'd love to bring Chuckles out and say hello, and he loves the meetup.
Good. Well, make sure you say hi to Tawny for us.
We will.
For sure. And
For
thank you so much for your time today, Mike, and bringing on Bentley and Farah. And we appreciate so much that we got to get to know the stars a little bit.
That's right.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your evening.
You too.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. I can't wait. I need to watch these Dirk Gently episodes.
Well, I'm a fan of Dirk Gently because I'm a fan of Douglas Adams,
Mhm.
and for those who know, Dirk Gently series is not as well known as the Hitchhiker's Guide series. So if you're a fan of the Hitchhiker's series, you will definitely be a fan of the Dirk Gently series.
Now you know the famous Corgis.
That's right. Now I know the famous Corgi, so I'm looking forward to watching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please do. And follow Poor Corgi Actor on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the social media calls. Follow us, Corgi Town USA, on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Please like and subscribe this channel if you're watching on YouTube.
And share with your friends.
Yes, please share.
Please share.
We're sure you would love to hear about Bentley and Farah. We certainly did. And we're here for you every Thursday, all things Corgi and dog lifestyle. Candy, Cat, Chuckles, Digby, Mortimer, Booger, and Hammer.
Yay!
The Corgi Committee.
The
Have
Corgi
a great
Committee.
night.
Bye.
We'll see you next Thursday.